We're going to do a reaction where we make chlorine gas by reacting concentrated hydrochloric acid with manganese dioxide. So what we have is an addition funnel that contains hydrochloric acid concentrated. That will be added into a round bottom flask that contains manganese dioxide that's heated with a heating mantle. A heating mantle is kind of like an electric warming pillow for round bottom flasks. There's a stir bar in here that will stir the reaction vessel as the reaction occurs. The chlorine gas that comes out will go through this needle valve that then goes through the tube, will bubble through this water, and then we're going to bubble the chlorine gas through a solution containing potassium iodide and see what happens when we do that. The addition funnel has this tube that comes from up here down to there, and what that's for is because we want to have this sealed at the top. When you let the HCl into here, it'll actually stop adding because you'd be creating a vacuum here, and this unseals that vacuum so that pressure can be regulated from down here to up here so the HCl actually adds in. The needle valve is a cool little device. What it does is it has this kind of plastic cone that fits snugly into the glass cone there, and it's used for regulating how gas flows. So right now it's closed because there's a tight seal between the plastic, it's Teflon, and the glass. And when you open it, it opens a gap around that the gas can now flow. We're going to be leaving this open because we want the chlorine gas that we make to flow out through the tube. You might wonder how all of this is held together well. And one of the things is that the different pieces of glassware are held together by what are called ground glass joints. And so the glass here has the glass is ground as well as that there, and it makes an airtight seal that allows the two pieces to fit together so that things don't leak. For connections that you're worried about popping because of excess pressure, we have these clips, or just from gravity, we have these clips that hold on, that grab on the top piece to the middle, to the bottom piece, to make sure that they don't separate during your reaction. Okay, so we're ready to start the reaction. I've turned on the heating mantle so it's nice and warm. I'm going to lift it up using the lab jack, and then I'm going to add HCl into the reaction mixture. So I'm raising up the heating mantle so it's snug against the round bottom flask, and turn on the stir so the stir bar is going, and I'm going to release some HCl in. Okay, and the reaction goes really quite quickly. We can see that gas is being generated. You can see it's bubbling through the water flask, and the chlorine gas that's being generated has turned the Ki solution a dark kind of reddish brown. So chlorine is being generated by the reaction between the HCl and the manganese dioxide here. That gas is going through the needle valve, through this tube, is bubbling through the water, making a solution of saturated chlorine, which isn't very much, and then the excess chlorine is bubbling here. You can kind of see the yellowish color of the chlorine here, and now quite a bit of the iodine has been oxidized, making that dark solution there. So we're going to let this go for a while and see what happens. And now something interesting is happening. You can see that the dark solution now has largely become clear with a good deal of solid sitting on the bottom. And that solution is becoming clear, a bunch of solid, becoming lighter and lighter color. So a little bit of reaction still happening. You can see some bubbling happening in the flask, but just a little. Reaction is just about done. We have our first flask that had water in it. It has a yellowish tinge to it because some chlorine is dissolved in it. You can see some chlorine gas above it. It's a bit yellowish. And our bubbler that contained originally potassium iodide now is much less darkly colored in the solution phase, and there are chunks of solid floating around in it.